This is a 13 ABC special report, the Last Alarm Memorial Service.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Lee Conklin.
And I'm Diane Larson, and we're honored to share with all of you tonight's celebration of the lives of Toledo's fallen firefighters.
Thousands of people have come from all over the city, all over the country, even Canada, to bear witness and pay tribute to Private Stephen Machinski and James Dickman. As we all know, the two died in the line of duty on Sunday, January 26th, fighting a North Toledo apartment fire.
And in the midst of the grief and the mourning for the people who knew and loved these two men comes what you're seeing tonight. It's an elegant ritual of honor and ceremony called the Last Alarm Service.
Honor guard, present arms.
Say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Honor guard.
That was Dan Desmond, the Vice President of the local firefighters union, and his son, Devin, who is a University of Toledo student studying opera.
We are gathered here this evening to honor and celebrate the lives of our two fallen brothers, Steve Machinski and James Dickman. My name is John Kaminsky. I'm a battalion chief with the Toledo Fire Rescue Department, and I'm honored to assist with this ceremony this evening to honor our fallen brothers. To the Dickman and Machinski families, there are no words that can express the sadness and sorrow in our hearts for your loss. Although this is a memorial, it is also a celebration of their lives and service, and we have prepared this program to further honor the families of our fallen, as well as the members of the Toledo Fire and Rescue Department.
As the fire chief of the city of Toledo, Toledo Fire and Rescue Department, I'd like to express my sincere sympathy and condolences to the Dickman family and the Machinski family. I'm going to be giving out a lot of thank yous this evening. The first one I want to give out to is to the Machinski family and the Dickman family. We've spent some time together at the hospital at St. V's on Sunday night. A couple days later with the Machinski family in their home. And today at Cedar Creek with the Dickman family. We spoke about James and Stephen And I think it was best to talk about those kinds of things in the intimate setting we had. So I'm not going to say much about Steve and James as I sit here today. They know how I feel, and I know how they feel. But my first thank you is going to go to the two families. Because as we spoke, by the time I was done speaking with them and interacting with them, they seemed to be concerned about me. They were very concerned about our department, suffering a great, great loss of their own. I was talking this week to two great families. I instantly realized what the makeup was all about as far as James and Stephen. I instantly knew where they got it from. You are two very, very solid families. And that's why Stephen and James were such good fits to our department. So thank you, what you have done for me over these past couple days.
As we get ready to watch the presentation of the Medal of Honor to the families, quite a string of speeches from Jeff Romstad from Local 92, Luis Santiago, who was incredibly touching, and Mike Collins before him, the mayor.
And this presentation of the Medal of Valor will be done by IAFF District Vice President Paul Huffnagel, Ohio Association of Professional Firefighters President Mark Sanders, and Toledo Firefighters Local 92 President Jeff Romstad. We heard him. He seemed a little choked up as well, of course. Presenting that Medal of Honor to the Machinski and Dickman families. That medal reads, dedication, honor, and sacrifice. And the president of the IAFF, who just spoke so eloquently, unfortunately, he has done too many of these, as he told us. He came in from Washington, and it was a arduous task to get here because of weather situations, travel situations. But the first thing he did when he arrived was to go to that apartment building on Magnolia. He told us on Action News at 5:30 that he wanted to know what they had gone through. He wanted to see where they had gone into the building. He wanted to see what stood of the building now and get a feel for these great men who sacrificed everything to put out a fire.
And interesting to hear from Chief Santiago, who has been at so many of these as well. And you have to wonder if he ever pictured that he would have to preside over a situation such as this. But when he said that people said it'd be tough to be you, clearly he's quite proud of the people he stands over.
You saw him. You were there at the news conference on Sunday night when they delivered the horrible news to everybody. And he paused for, it seemed, a good 30 seconds before he began his remarks today. I don't know the man personally, and I don't know what was going through his head, but it certainly seemed as if he was having a difficult time composing himself, controlling his emotion, and finding the words to begin his remarks.
We hear over and over again, family, brotherhood, sisterhood. These men and women live in those firehouses 24 hours at a time, sometimes longer than that. They see their comrades perhaps sometimes more than they see their families. And it was incredibly somber evening, as you would expect on Sunday night. Chief Santiago and others presiding over that news conference. And here once again, the Medal of Honor presentation being given to the families of Privates Machinski, and Private Dickman.
And Chief Santiago also thanking the firefighters for actually responding to the calls and the continued calls that they had in the midst of all of this sadness, going out there and doing their job. And as he said in his words, when we were going through our darkest times, you shined the brightest, talking to the firefighters.
Incredibly proud of his team.
And we're going to hear from the St. Francis de Sales High School Men's Choir singing You Raise Me Up.
stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up to more than I can be.
And while they are taking part in this portion of tonight's ceremony, we're awaiting the reading of the record, and that will be retired Assistant Chief Robert Schwanzel. A lot of folks know him from the Fire Museum, reading the record, and it's essentially the listing of the life and times of these men, when they were born, when they went to high school, the honors they achieved along the way, and their day of death.
And hearing from Sally Glombowski, Battalion Chief of Training, and Mr. Schwartz, Jim Schwartz, colleague of Jamie Machinski, or I should say Stephen Machinski, just hearing so many stories about how these men loved what they were doing.
We heard that so many times that Steve Machinski would look at his friend or whoever he was with, a coworker, and excitedly say, "Can you believe we get paid to do this?" And as the Mayor Collins said, "This is a profession. These are professionals, and this is their chosen vocation, but it's a profession." He makes that point very clear. A private moment now, talking to the families.
So touched by Jamie Dickman's motto going through training. We fight with courage, we stand with pride, we honor those who gave our lives.
And when Jim Schwartz was talking about Steve Machinski, the moment of levity there, talking about his birthday was March 17th, which was also St. Patrick's Day.
Liked an occasional beer.
And liked an adult beverage.
Yeah.
And he said, so he got a double celebration every March 17th. And got a little choked up at the end of his remarks when he said, "Rest in peace, we love you, and we miss you." And many reminded us tonight, we were down at the Seagate Center prior to tonight's event, that this is a celebration of these men's lives. It is sad, there's no question, but this is also a time where we find joy in their moments on this earth.
For many years, firefighters themselves both began and ended their day at the sounding of a bell. And one of those signals was to sound a bell 3 times to indicate that a job had been completed. From the record, Stephen A. Machinski, date of birth March 17th, 1971. He attended Whitmer High School in Toledo, graduating class of 1989. He also attended the University of Toledo, and he had an associate degree in fire science from Owens Community College. His appointment to the Toledo Fire Department was March 20th, 1998. He was given at that time badge number 80. His assignment was station number 13 in East Toledo, Platoon C. Later, he had an assignment on the other side of the river at station number 3, again, Platoon C. Awards that he received. One incident was a life-saving award, March the 5th, 2001, for an incident that occurred at 902 East Broadway. His death date, January 26, 2014. It is appropriate now that we sound the bell 3 times and in honor and in memory of firefighter Machinski. From the record, James A. Dickman. Date of birth, April 11, 1982. Education, he was homeschooled. He got his state certificate in the year 2000. He was employed first in the fire service by the Perkins Township Fire Department, serving there for nearly 10 years. His appointment to the Toledo Fire Department was September 3rd, 2013. At that time, he received badge number 50. His assignment when he left the academy, Station 3, Platoon C. Date of death, January 26, 2014. It is also appropriate this evening that we sound the bell 3 times in honor and in memory of firefighter James Dickman.
Fire dispatch to engine 3. Toledo Fire dispatch to engine 3. Clear the air. Toledo Fire dispatch to Stephen A. Machinski and James A. Dickman on all call. On January 26, 2014, at 14:47 hours, Stephen A. Machinski and James A. Dickman answered their last call for service. May God rest their souls. We'll take it from here, brothers. This concludes the last alarm transmission. Toledo Fire and Rescue Department at 20:51 hours.
Firefighters, attention! Present arms.
And we thank you for joining us for this very, very special ceremony honoring the lives of Stephen Machinski and Jamie Dickman.
Beautiful in every way. What a tribute to these men. And over the last 2 hours, I think you feel fortunate knowing more about what they did, what they were about, what they gave to their families and their comrades within the Toledo Fire Department. We do want to point out that the funeral for Jamie Dickman is tomorrow. Stephen Machinski's funeral is set for Saturday. The second Mass will be held for the 2 Sunday at St. Patrick's Church on Avondale.
And our thoughts and our prayers, our condolences go to the Machinski and Dickman families and their family of firefighters everywhere.
And as people file out, and people from all over the country who came to honor these men and honor the Toledo Fire Department, giving their support, we say, on behalf of Diane, all of us here at 13 ABC, we thank the Toledo Fire Department for working with us to provide this coverage to you. And we say to all the firefighters in the department, we thank you for your sacrifice.
We're going to be joining The Taste, which is already in progress, which will air right until 11 o'clock. At that time, we'll be back for 13 ABC Action News at 11. We will, of course, show you all of the events of this evening. We will talk with many of the firefighters who came from so far away and show you more of this tribute and celebration of these men's lives. Until then, good night, everyone.
This has been a 13 ABC special report, the Last Alarm Memorial Service.